All right, so hi everyone. So I'm going to be talking tonight about Gangnam Style, and we've gotten a lovely introduction from it already. I hope that most of you in this room, all of you in this room, have seen it by now. It's actually the most viewed video on YouTube, surpassing 850 million views. And it's actually more than Justin Bieber's Baby, which is a big win for the internet. So like most of you, I've spent a lot of time listening to this song and, like a lot of time listening to the song and sort of horse dancing. I really, really love it. So it's set in this, this is actually me and my boyfriend for Halloween this year. We dressed up as two characters from this film and sort of Gangnam styled our way around the Castro. It was really wonderful. So I hope this sort of shows you my depth of caring about the song and how much time I've invested in listening to it. And I get this sort of fear whenever I get super sucked into a pop song that like perhaps the sugar is sort of rotting my brain and that maybe I'm not actually spending all that time as best as I can. That maybe I'm actually just listening to a guy who's sort of horse dancing around Korea. I don't really know. And thankfully, my favorite news outlet, The Atlantic, wrote this article about the subversive message within Gangnam Style, saying that it's about sort of the consumerism and materialism in this neighborhood in Seoul. And that's awesome for me personally, because it gives me sort of this reason to believe that I'm actually bettering myself while listening to the song. This is the ivory tower of my brain on this slide, I'm just so relieved. The only problem is that Psy has actually come out in a Reddit AMA and contradicted this. He said that Gangnam Style is not critique, it's just fun. And that sucks for me, because now I feel like I've wasted all of this time, and I really wanted him to come out and talk about how it's so meaningful and how I'm such a good person by listening to it, but no, I'm actually just wasting all this time sort of horse dancing around the Castro. And this is sort of the existential horror of pop culture, and I get sort of sucked into this, that, oh God, I'm just listening to pop music while I could be, like reading some German philosophy book or something and actually like bettering myself. This is sort of the fear that if we were in 1960s America, that I would be one of the screaming girls at a Beatles concert, instead of sort of haughtily standing off to the side and penning an article about how it talks about the changing social mores in America. But, I'm not doing that, I'm just dancing. And I think that this sort of worry is nothing new. It's sort of the divide between art and kitsch. Kitsch being sort of visual language that is sort of populist for the masses, tends to be shallow, tends to be kind of pretty, and nothing more. And kitsch is kind of a dirty word for people like myself who went to university and studied art history and kind of have this high and mighty image of ourselves as consuming art that means something to the world and has ideas behind it, which is the antithesis of kitsch. But the problem for me is that as I look at my own sort of life and certainly my habits on the computer, oh God, do I love internet kitsch. This thing that I disdain so much in my sort of art and music consumption, do I actually flock to it online? And if you look at sort of my browsing habits, the number of cats that I look at, the time spent on Reddit every day, I think the answer is yes. And this makes me sad. And sort of taken individually, memes are very much internet kitsch. I mean, we're looking at a frowning cat that made it all the way to ABC News. However, I think that if we consider memes in sort of a larger context, we start to see more interesting ideas that sort of emerge from them. And I don't mean this is a scare tactic talk against memes. I think there's actually a lot that you can gain from studying them sort of in a deeper reading. Probably mostly for myself, I need to remind myself that popular does not necessarily mean vacuous. That just because something is shared, 850 million, is it billion? Anyway, it's a lot of views, but it can actually have deep ideas behind it. And whether or not Psy intended that, there's certainly been a lot of discussion that came out over the materialism. So memes are cultural artifacts. They are ideas about culture that have been boiled down to an idea that is easily encapsulated and shareable in an image or an animated GIF. And once you have this meme,
the way that it sort of becomes well known is through, sharing, it's through virality. And that points to a shared cultural context, because you have to have sort of this quorum of people that understand the idea within the meme before it can be shared. The inside joke with your 3 closest friends doesn't go viral. It's something that a lot of people can respond to. So I'd like to posit that memes are greater than the sum of its parts, that if you're looking at a collection of memes at sort of the cultural references that they're touching upon, that's a lot more interesting than each individual one, which is just, Thomas Kincaid with a Cthulhu on it. Collectively, I'd argue that memes have depth. They have the possibility to touch on many different ideas and sort of entangle between them, while Kitch does not. Kitch will always be flat and always have a shallow meaning. And I really like this image. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I have justified my love of Gangnam Style. Thank you.